Welcome back. It's good to see you. It's good to have you back. Today is a good day. Well, it's always a good day, but today is another good day. Let's put it that way. Despite the weather outside and it being dark and all the things, and it's only 6 o'clock, but it feels like it's 9.
Right.
But we're excited, and I think you're going to be too. Today, my guest is someone that I know in a couple different capacities, but I'm actually really excited to get to know her a little bit better. So we're going to do this together. We're going to take this journey of getting to know her together a little bit better, both in her professional space, but also just as a person. And that's the part that I'm really the most excited about. I will say this, and I was going to save this towards the end of her bio, but I'm going to say it now because it's on my heart and why not? She's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. So, and I think you're going to see that in her spirit as she talks through all of the stuff that I'm going to throw at her today. I'm saying that because she just told me she was nervous about being on here. So I'm not really getting ready to throw a bunch of stuff at her. I lie. That's not true. But let me get to the introduction so that you know exactly who we're going to be engaging with today, and you can be as excited as I am. So today we have LaKresha Moultrie. She serves as the Delaware Secretary of Labor. She was confirmed earlier this year in 2025 after a distinguished career in public service, higher education, and law. She's a former Chief Deputy Attorney General for the Delaware Department of Justice. That was a mouthful. I almost did not get that out. All right. She later became Vice President of Legal Affairs, General Counsel, and Chief Enterprise Risk Officer at Delaware State University, which is where I met her. I met her in 2020, and that's a whole nother story in itself. But anyway, she has been recognized among Delaware Business Times as the 40 under 40 and the 40 most empowering women in business. True story. She is a Leadership Delaware graduate. Hey, that's where I also know
Right.
her from. A Jack and Jill mom and a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated sorority. I did not know that until today, but there's that. She now leads the Department of Labor's effort to strengthen workforce systems, expand opportunity, to ensure equitable conditions for workers across the state. And if that wasn't enough, she is also a wife and a mother. And like I said, one of the sweetest people I know. So, LaKresha, hi, welcome.
Hi. Thank you for the warm welcome and that
Yes, it's so
wonderful
good to see you.
introduction.
It's so good to see you and to have you. I'm really excited about the topic today because what I really want to talk to you about is leadership and culture and changing the culture, which is a huge part of why I talked about the fact that you just got confirmed in 2025. Not that I say just, I mean, it's not like this administration has been in forever. But that is a huge undertaking as far as you just putting sort of your stamp on things, or are you getting the train moving in the direction that you want it to go in? And we're a couple months into the year, and so I'm excited to hear about what that journey has looked like for you. Leadership is something that I'm like really passionate about. So I love talking to leaders in different spaces to see what and how they're doing. So anyway, to just kind of get us uh, kicked off, one of the things that I want to ask you is when you stepped into this role, right, which was I from the outside looking in, it looks like it was a huge shift from where you were, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Okay. Um, what were some of your beliefs about leadership that you had to sort of unlearn in order to step into this role?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that question on
Okay, listen.
had to unlearn.
Yeah.
You know what I had to do? I realized really quickly that I had to set aside a lot of assumptions that I made about leadership.
Mm,
So this is the first time that I've actually been a head of a department. So
okay.
I've had a lot of titles, but I always had someone higher than me to report to, right?
Right.
And this is
Hmm.
the first time like I'm the person that's responsible for everything. And if something goes
Right.
wrong, I answer for it. Um, and there is a big difference between observing someone in that role and
Mm,
actually being there. And it
that's
has
good.
required me to give myself a lot of grace
Yes.
and to know that just like anyone moving into a new space, I'm going to make mistakes. I
Mhm.
have an obligation to learn from them, and I have to be fair to myself while I
Yeah.
go through this process so that I can become a
Yeah.
better leader, right? It's the same
Yeah.
process for anyone, but it's just that you feel you can feel very exposed because, I mean, you really are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I think that's really good, and, what's interesting about that, and you can tell me if you feel the same way, I certainly haven't gotten to the level of leadership that you have been in, but I have, or that you are in, excuse me, but I've certainly am in leadership positions and have been, where when you are on sort of the level just underneath that, you're looking at that leader and saying, "I could do that," or they're doing terrible," or "This is horrible," or "They should
Right.
be doing" right? And then you step into that role, you're like, "Oh, okay, I didn't realize
That's
all this
right.
pressure. I didn't realize all this responsibility. I didn't realize all this stuff behind the curtain." And it gives you a different level of appreciation for the person that has to wear the crown, you know? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's saying, "Heavy is the head that wears the crown," understanding where that comes from.
So true. So true. And the funny thing is you say you haven't been in positions of leadership, but I like that. But I actually disagree. And I think it's because of the context in which we met, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you were that person that was leading something statewide that was
yeah.
significant. Mommy, Mommy's busy. I'll be done in a minute. Um, So we met during the pandemic,
Mhm.
and Delaware was in a place where we really didn't know what to do, right?
Right,
And you were in that space where you were implementing a process that was going to establish like a framework
right,
that we would
right,
implement throughout
right,
the state, right?
right.
So you were the leader, right? Like you
I guess that's
literally
fair.
and I wanna make sure that you're fair to yourself, right? So
Yeah,
me being at the issue, not really knowing what to do because I don't have a medical background, but everybody's like, "Oh, you're chief risk officer, you figure it out." And I'm like, I wasn't that wasn't what I thought about when I signed this contract." But
right, right.
having you come in with your expertise and literally put your put your arms around our campus community
Yeah, yeah,
and give us confidence, lift us up, tell us
yeah.
what we're doing, show us how to do it, and then say, all right, I gave you all the tools. Now you go out there and you can do
Like,
it.
I'll do it.
That's the same thing I'm doing at labor every single day, right? Like
Okay, that's fair.
I bring the best me that I have to the
Yeah,
table. We have challenges and I come up with solutions. And then I say, all right, folks, here's our plan. Let's stick to it. And then
let's do
let's
it.
execute.
Let's do it.
Same.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job.
Well, thank you. But I think we all learn by just modeling what we've seen throughout our lives, right? We draw
Right,
on
right.
experiences and what we've observed, and then we take those little pieces from everyone that's been a positive leader that's impacted our lives, and that kind of shapes what we do in the future.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good segue, right? Because you talked about the pandemic and the things that we were doing during that time, and, at that time, I was in a public safety position, and those roles, right, even yours during that time, and especially now, we're talking about public trust,
Mm.
and, um, ain't nothing like having to work through public trust in any sort of government any sort of government role. I mean, that is like a whole nother level of public trust. People are really, really, truly looking at and scrutinizing and just like what is happening, and we have a certain expectation.
Right.
Um, from where you sit now, right? What does it look like in your role to earn trust from people every day? And you're really earning trust on 2 levels, right? The people that report to you and the
Yep.
citizens that you serve. Is it different? Is it the same? What does that look like for you?
I think it's the same in a
Okay.
lot of ways. probably the same in ways that I didn't even expect.
Mm,
So I think as a leader, transparency is a must, right? Like
yeah.
you just, even if it's a difficult conversation to have, you have to lean into that conversation and have it in a way that's authentic, right? Because people
Mm,
can tell. He, um, so
indeed.
that's how I try to do it. And I also think transparency in a way, um, by way of like a vulnerability as a leader.
Yes.
So I tend to be intentional about not pretending that I've got all the answers, right? There's
That's good.
no problem that labor has that LaKresha can solve on her own,
Right.
right?
That's good. Yeah.
So, I thought the nice part that I really enjoyed was I saw both sides of it as soon as I got to labor, right? I
Mhm.
had a joint finance committee hearing where I was probably into the job only 4 to 6 weeks. And I'm at a public hearing where legislators are grilling me about everything labor and what are you going to do and how you're going to fix it because they're just doing their jobs, right?
Arda, you want me to call somebody? Because I
I might take you up on that. Well,
listen.
look, I mean, as they say all the time, I have constituents that I represent, and here are the
Right.
problems, and you took this job and you better figure it out.
Right.
And
Right.
I think it was a good space for me to acknowledge that and
Mhm.
just say openly, guess what? I've taken notes. I hear everything you've told me, and I will prioritize these things. However, I can't tell you I have an answer for something that I
Right.
haven't even had an opportunity to really understand.
Right.
And people
Absolutely.
were receptive to that, right? And I
Yeah.
think sometimes when we think about leaders, we think about them as being supernatural, and that's just
Right.
not
Right. It's
reality,
not
right?
true.
Nobody
It's
expects you
just
to be
not true.
that person.
Yeah.
And then I think being transparent with the staff, coming in and everyone saying, "What's your vision for labor?" As soon as I get in there, and I'm like, "Woo, I don't know yet. I just want to get to know all of you." And look,
Right.
I'm new. I'm here just for a few days. How about you all start by telling me what you see, and you can help frame my understanding of your work and your challenges, and then I'll
Yeah.
a vision for labor.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
You said something and it really made me think about this, something I was pondering the other day about leadership, that when leaders um, can't admit that they're wrong, right? They can't admit that they're wrong, but wrong things happen.
Uh-huh.
Things go wrong. But when they never can say that it was them, then what they're ultimately always saying is that it's someone else. Like everyone else in the room is wrong. And
Uh-huh.
that's a really horrible leader to have to work for or under. Um,
Yep.
but it also just creates such suffocating, just demoralizing environment if you always have to be wrong.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad you're
Yeah.
not
And
creating
I'm
that space.
intentional about talking about it, right? Because again, if we're not talking about it, we make assumptions about what's happening in the workplace, and that's not okay. So when I was putting
Right.
together my executive team at Labor, I said, I'm going to make mistakes, right? The purpose of my executive
Uh-huh.
team is to tell me when they think I'm making a mistake so that we can avoid the mistake. But again, that comes with just being transparent and vulnerable. I come to the table with ideas
Right.
and I want people to pick it apart. And I hope that they'll do the same thing with me, right? Take take a risk, come up with a really innovative idea and we can work from there. But if you never talk about your ideas and you're always afraid to make a mistake, you'll never take the risk. Exactly. It's an
Yeah.
idea.
And it builds confidence
Right.
too.
It
It builds confidence.
does. It
So,
does.
yeah.
But you can tell, like, that's just not, sometimes people are unfamiliar with that approach, and it takes time to build the trust necessary to empower leaders to do that. So it takes
Because there
time.
is trauma. There is
Yes,
trauma.
exactly. Exactly.
There
People
is
will just slow. I've been there. So, woo.
done worked for a leader, a top or two. We're not gonna name no names, but I'm just
No,
saying they out
no
there.
names,
So,
no names.
um, so you talked about assumptions, some of the assumptions that you made when you came in,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh,
What do you think? I'm not gonna ask you specifically what assumptions, but in general, what do you think are some assumptions that leaders can make about a culture, especially in government,
yeah.
that can
Oh,
be
yeah.
um I don't want to use the word dangerous, that can be limiting.
Yes.
That's better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Limiting.
I think, so it's interesting, right? Naturally, coming into a new job, I'm going to hit Google and see everything that's going on. And one thing that I came to appreciate coming into labor was wait a minute, who's telling our good news? Because I don't
Mm,
want to let the public control the narrative. I met so
yeah,
many people that talked about their passion for labor and all the great work they've done and all of the positive feedback they get from the public. And I'm like, wait, we need somebody to head up comms, right? Because we have to tell
right,
our
right.
own story. And I think that's just applicable in life, right? Don't make
Yeah,
assumptions
yeah.
based on what you read because sometimes it can be very one sided, right? So, what
Yep.
I assumed reading the paper, I came in and got a completely different appreciation for what it actually
Yeah,
was. And then it revealed an opportunity for us to be more proactive in how we're um, educating the public about what we do and how we do it and how much our employees love their jobs and how talented they are.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And you know what? That's real talk because I can't tell you that I have ever heard this is terrible. Anything out of labor. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like all the good things that labor is doing or whatever. If somebody asked me right now, tell me one like well, I mean, okay, let me not say right now because I actually know the
Right.
good things that you guys are.
Now.
Let's go back to a year ago. Right. Let's go back to a year ago. A year ago, if somebody had asked me, tell me one good thing that labor is doing right now, I'd be like,
You'd be like, "What? The unemployment office?" Because that's what everybody thinks, right?
and this is no shade to anyone else who has come before. This is I'm not saying that they weren't doing great things, but you're correct.
No, I have
Nobody
no
is telling
story.
that story.
Right,
So I had no
right.
idea. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So that's interesting. You know what else is funny is that a friend of mine, I told them that I was from a different
mhm.
state, from out of state. Um, they said, "Oh, who are you getting ready to interview?" And I told them, and they said, "Labor. What? Is that like I don't know like what's your minimum wage?" Literally, that was they could not even like they're like,
R
"What does labor even like oversee or control?" And I was like, "Wow, okay,
right.
that's true though that people
I'm
don't really know." But you're out
trying
here doing a
to.
lot.
I'm trying.
You're more than trying, more than trying. So the culture, let's talk about culture because that's a huge thing within any department, with any group. And you're in a lot of them, right? Like Jack and Jill, your
Mhm.
sorority, each of them have their own culture. Um, but you are the leader and your responsibility is helping to set the culture
Yeah.
of your department. Um, how difficult, because I don't want to talk about what the culture was coming into it, because it doesn't necessarily mean that it was bad but you're shaping your own. How difficult has it been, to sort of turn that ship, that big ship in the direction that you want to move in?
So, I can explain it by example. So, I come into
Okay.
labor and intentionally, I've come to appreciate collaborative leadership because every place that I worked
Mm,
where I've enjoyed my work the most, it was when I was dealing with those leaders that encouraged me to have an opinion about something,
mm,
to be assertive when I needed to be. and to really lean in on rolling something out and not to be afraid, right? So I
Yeah.
said, I want to do the same thing
Mhm.
at labor, but coming in, knowing what working for a state agency is like, usually they're really bureaucratic. So I'm like, how do I break this down? I got to
Mhm.
figure out a way to break down this, strict chain of command and be accessible to people and encourage them to talk to me. So I was at our summer picnic and, I was just talking about ideas. I forget what it was, but I had met a new employee and she said, "Well, I really want to be a part of that committee when you roll it out." And I said, "Oh no, no." And it was the first time I told someone what the plan was. I did a one-day
Mhm.
retreat where literally everybody at labor came to the same place to have training about collaborative leadership, to do brainstorming activities,
Wow.
and begin to create some plan and structure around the work that they do in their divisions, right? So it doesn't matter
That's
what your
awesome. Yeah.
job title is, what level you're at, everyone had an opportunity to work in small groups and be engaged in a discussion. And
That's fantastic.
my leadership team, to their credit, they put this thing together in like a month, and we rolled out a full day of really great training and uh, project development activities. And I
Yeah.
couldn't have asked for anything more. So for me, I'll say
That's
it was
awesome.
important not only to tell people what I wanted to do, but demonstrate it. So show them what that looks
Yeah.
like so that we can bring that back into the workplace. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. I love that. See, and you're right. Those are showing and being an example of what you want to see. Them seeing it in you first really does help them to shift and move in a direction because it's not just about do what I tell you to do, or even some, quite honestly, some people have never seen it before. They don't
Yep.
even know what you're asking of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like you've had resistance, or you feel like people have been pretty open and willing to kind of get on with
So
the
open. So open. The way that
in government?
people have embraced this has it warms my heart. I tell you, sometimes people say things to me, and I think that they don't even realize how much it impacts my feeling about where I am right now and how much they're shaping the leader I will be down the road. For
Yeah,
example, I
yeah,
went to a
that's good.
meeting. I try to make it a normal I have try to have some normal cadence of just going and talking to people. Went to Dover, talked to a
Right.
team there, and then after the fact, one of the managers came to me and said, "Miss so and so, she's been here for who knows, I forget how many years." I think it was one of those women that had been at labor for like 35 years, and at the meeting, she kept saying, "I'm out of here, so I'm gonna tell you what I wanna tell you." And I said, "That's right,
What
tell
I
me,
really
right?"
think.
Point being, the manager comes back to me and she said, "Miss so and so said she's gonna stay because she wants to see what you're gonna do." And she didn't retire. And I'm
How wonderful is
those
that?
moments, Autumn, I'm like, they
Yes.
don't realize how impactful that is to me, right? How that
Yes.
encourages
Yes.
me y doing what
Oh,
I'm
that's so
doing. So
good.
when I say that labor has embraced me in a really special way, I really mean it.
Man, listen, okay. Okay. Issue. Don't know how else to
Girl,
say it. Issue. Because government, and especially, I can say this, 18 years in government, county government, but still government. Um, Especially when you're talking about like merit employees and the difference between merit employees and like appointed, and this idea of being like, look, I was here before you got here and I'll
mhm.
be here after
Yep.
you gone. So all these changes you trying to make, maybe I'll get on board with them and maybe I won't. But what you really gonna do, because you're gonna be gone in 4 years, I'll still be here. I done been through four administrations in the, you know what I mean? And so you can get people who really dig their heels in to what they have been doing, what they're comfortable doing, what they want to do. So the fact that you have had this reception and that they have embraced you and that they have really gotten on board with what you're doing and how you're doing it, it's you.
You know what? It's God. I can't
It,
if I wake up like most in the morning, most people every morning, and I'm
yeah,
just steeped in meditation and prayer. And I want to be
yeah.
so intentional about what I do and how I do it. And I just want to get it right. So I can do
Well, come
it.
on,
Yeah,
Vessel.
right? Right? Like, he puts us on that path, and look, I got an obligation to get
For a
something right, so I'm
reason.
doing the best that I can. Mm,
Absolutely. And it's still look, and I'm glad that you expanded it out. I thank you for it. It's still you because you got to have a willing heart, right? God works through those who allow
right.
themselves to be worked through, right? And you are clearly allowing yourself to be a vessel that he can use. And that is a blessing not only for the people that report to you, but for all the citizens who are going to reap the benefits
Yeah,
of your leadership. And that's hugely incredible because you're not, I don't know how many people employees are in labor, but you're not only leading them, but you're leading look, we done got a million, we done got to a
I
million people in this
know,
population
right?
around here,
Right?
but you're also leading a million people because well, right? Because everybody got a job, looking for a job, need a job, trying to get a job, getting to a job,
Yep,
something is affected by labor in some way, shape, or form, every single person
absolutely.
in this state
But you
is.
touched on a good
So,
point,
yeah, no,
we have to have real conversations about what it means to be a state employee and what it means to be a Maryland employee, and you're right, our
yeah.
employees have a lot of protection, right? So that means that as leaders, we gotta
Yeah,
step up our game, right? Everybody at labor cares about what they're doing. They wanna do it well, so then it's on me. I can't incentivize them with money and lunch, and I those monetary
yeah.
things aren't a resource, right? So, I think it
Mhm.
really comes in the form of advocating for them to get them the resources that they need to do their jobs well, respecting them, giving them opportunities to build their resume in unique ways so that they have opportunities beyond labor because labor doesn't have to be forever
Right.
for everyone. It's those things that make the
Right.
difference. So we have to be thoughtful about how
Yeah.
we incentivize our employees at the state.
How do you, how do you manage I know you talked about God and meditation, and I feel like that may be where we're going with this, but how do you manage the weight of the responsibility? Like we just said, whether people know it or not, every single person in the state is affected by labor in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form, right? And that's an incredible amount of responsibility. I guess the good thing is that if they don't realize they're affected, that means you're doing a good job. It's when they do realize that they've been affected that they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, wait a minute, something wrong." But you know what I mean? So how are you managing
I think,
that?
a couple of ways, right? So, labor is now to the point of transparency, labor is in a place where something is wrong, right? We've got this
Mm,
backlog of lots of unemployment
mhm,
insurance cases, and we've gotta get people their money. And for
yeah,
me, it comes in the form of constantly constantly messaging that to our staff in a way that does not
yeah,
burn them out or stress them out, right? Because they're already
mm,
stressed, right?
gotcha.
Taking the calls every
Right,
day when
right.
people are calling and they're upset because they can't pay their bills, they're afraid of losing their housing.
Yeah,
That's some really heavy stuff. And to tell you the
right,
truth, I can't say that I always get it right, but I do my best to strike that balance, and I think it comes in different forms, right? So, I
yeah.
feel like when you're in the workplace, people become like your family, right? So,
Yeah,
I can tell them something's wrong and that we gotta get it right and we need to hurry up, but you person on the
yeah,
outside, you better watch the way that you're talking to my
right,
family because I'm not having it, right? And
right,
it
right.
builds trust. right? Because it's so easy to be
Yeah.
on the outside and criticize what's going on in labor, but you don't really understand it and you don't have to live it, right? But
Yeah.
we do,
Right.
right? So I
Right.
think it comes
Right.
just, staying with your theme of leadership, it comes with a balance of protection and a whole lot of encouragement and sowing
Mm.
the
Mm.
confidence that I get through prayer into others in the workplace and letting
Yeah.
them know that, look, I
Yeah.
don't know what your faith is. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm gonna tell you where I'm at with this. Right. And I know we
Right.
can do something
Right.
special
Right.
and we can have a positive impact. And
Yeah.
people have been really receptive to that.
That's good. That's good. And it shows up in everything that you do, the way you speak, the decisions you make, the way that you engage with people. And so those things become real. It's more than just you saying you have faith. They can actually, just like the retreat, right? They can actually see what that
Yeah.
looks like in practice, and it has a much more meaningful impact. So that's amazing. That's really good. No, I love that, uh, you talk about being protective as a leader. I think that that's something that people don't talk enough about, is a leader's responsibility to be sort of that shield from the outside. Um whether it be opinions, whether it be, uh, you know, treatment, culture, whatever, all these different things, right? It's just, but also
Mhm.
protecting a vision, protecting the dream, protecting morale, protecting all, space to be yourself, all of the stuff, right? And I think some leaders shy away from that because that in and of itself is its own job, its own stressors, its
Yeah.
own, and they're like, wait a minute, I wasn't here for that. I was here for this check, for this title, for this office. Like, nah, you
Yeah,
gotta get this
right.
shield out. You got
Right.
some battles to fight. But people really appreciate it and they respond to that when they know that they have somebody there that's protecting them, that's really watching out for their best interests. Yeah. So that's really good. That's incredible. I can see why they responded to you.
Well, I'm telling you, it gives me the fuel that I need to continue to do what I do every day. And look, this is a political appointment, right? I have to
Yeah.
be intentional about what I do every single day because it's just one less day. My term is for a period. So I'm
Yeah.
doing as much as I can do
Right.
as quickly as possible and hope that it will have long-term positive impact.
Okay. Now what okay, so to that, how did you get here? What did like, and I don't mean how did you get here? I know how you got here. How did you get here as in, was this like, man, I would really love to go to labor? Or was this like, hey, would you want to do labor? Well, let me think about that for a minute. Actually, like,
Yeah.
well, did you wake up in the morning and say, man, this new administration's coming in and I really want to go to
It
labor?
is so funny. The story is actually funny, and I don't know that I've ever talked about it publicly, but it was, I feel like, yeah, I mean, it's no secret. So, no, I didn't have plans on coming to labor, and right off the bat, like, DSU, I always said that I got my HBCU experience later in life. So, like, I love my job, I
Mm,
love my people, I love my boss. Like, I'm at DSU having a great time. And then I went
right,
to
right.
Pilates one Saturday and I had this voicemail on my phone. And I'm like, okay, I don't recognize this number. And I listened to it. And, it's the governor. And he's like, I'd like to talk to you about, potentially being part of my cabinet. So I'm thinking, first of all, I don't recognize this number. I don't know who this is. Why are people playing on my phone? So I call back, no answer. I send a text and I say, yeah, I'm available at your convenience, whatever. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking, this was not Matt. Like that, somebody's playing on my phone,
Yeah.
right? The joke my husband and I had for like a couple of weeks was like, yeah, Matt called to ask you to be part of your cabinet.
Offer her
You
a
couldn't
job.
believe it, right? So, and then I was in DC for Senator Blunt Rochester swearing in, and I bumped into
Hmm.
someone who was definitely part of his administration and said, didn't you get a phone call? And I was like, oh, that was for real. And it was for
That was for
real.
real.
So I said, you know what?
Yeah.
Let me pray on
Let me
it
follow up.
and let me go through this process because obviously I'm honored.
Yeah.
This is not anything that anybody
Right.
plans for in their career. And it
Right.
all worked out. It all
That's good. That's good. Well, I love that story then. You know what? And listen, what I really love about this story is the fact that it came to you, that you weren't out seeking, running, hustling. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's wrong for
yeah.
anybody to be ambitious or to pursue. But it's such it's so beautiful when things come to you, right? That means that your reputation, your resume, your character, the work that you have done is speaking for itself in rooms and in ways that have drawn opportunities to you, and that's incredible. So I'm glad
But
that
you
that
know
was the
what,
story.
Autumn? I mean, again, if we really bring it full circle, how did I get
Yeah.
to know the governor? It was through you.
Yeah. No, you're not gonna say I got you this job, LaKresha, because
All
I
I'm
didn't.
saying is if anybody takes anything away from our conversation today, right? You and I
Yeah.
connected through a pandemic, right? A crazy, crazy
Right.
time. And you
Yeah.
helped me do my job in a very effective way. It would not have happened without you, right? Well, you poured something into
Yeah.
me. I learned something from you
Yeah.
who helped your boss then see something in me that led him to call me later on for another
Yeah.
opportunity. Look at that.
Look at
Look
God.
at
Won't he
God,
do it?
right? He'll put people in your life that are supposed to be there.
Absolutely.
It's
Mhm.
funny when you look back and you see his work in your life because in the moment, you and I weren't thinking about
Yeah.
any of this stuff. We're like, wait a minute. People are out
Right.
here get sick, get dying. How do you get under control?
Sick, dying. Yeah. Trying to get
Trying
these
to get these
kids back
kids
to
back to
school.
school.
Yeah.
And look at where we are now. We're
Mhm. That
having a
was the focus.
completely different
Look at where we
conversation.
are. Right. Such a blessing. You're right. No, that is absolutely the truth, that God is doing exactly what he's supposed to do in so many ways, right? Because we can look at it. I was blessed a million times over from that
Mhm.
process too, right? And so and being in that situation, even just being able to sit and talk to you now in our relationship, and all the different things have been an absolute blessing to me in a lot of other ways. This conversation ain't about me,
I can keep
but
making it about
just
you.
saying,
Wait a minute, Anna.
just saying, I too was blessed by that. So God was like, over and over and over and over again, really opening doors and connecting people and all the different things. And, I think it's no secret how I feel about the governor. So I think that he's an incredible human being, political things aside. I'm not even going to get into that because, whether people agree or don't agree, whether I agree or don't agree, just speaking to him as a human being, he's a really
Mhm.
good human being. And I think one of his really his real strong suits as far as leadership is concerned is being able to recognize talent, no matter where it is or
Mm.
what level it's at, and really giving people an opportunity to shine in those spaces. And that is incredible leadership. Like, he's not threatened by anybody's excellence, or what I mean, things like that. And so, which again, I think
Yeah,
speaks to his character, and
yeah,
so
I
yeah,
agree.
there's that. Yeah, yeah. So, I will say I didn't get a phone call, Governor. We're not gonna make this conversation about me.
You're too funny. Oh, man.
I'm playing. He knows I'm playing. He's playing. I'm playing. Anyway, so she said, "I'm not in this." Um, so look, we're getting ready to come up on the end. I got two
Okay.
more questions for you before we wrap things up. And I really want to talk about this idea of change, where it can trigger fear because of sort of uncertainty, and both in yourself and in the people
Um,
that you are leading. Um, And how are you managing the fear, right? Pushing past it to keep going to, towards a destination that you believe that you can really get to, even in those moments where it may be like, "Oh, is this
Yeah.
right? Did we, should we?" Right? How are you managing that
I
fear?
think it's all one thing that I've come to learn, and this is just taking time and just a lot of experience in various professional positions I've been in. It is all about taking calculated risk. Like nothing is always going
Yeah.
to be guaranteed, and it's never going to be perfect. And the I have found that being in my current position, right, being the head of a department, it's important to have people around you to vet anything that you're going to do, right? So you need to take in
Mm,
all the pros and cons, consider them,
yeah.
and take a very calculated risk with every decision. And then
Yeah.
once you make that decision, you gotta feel confident about it, and you're only pivoting out of
Yeah.
necessity, not out of fear. So,
That's good.
it's natural, right? But you
That's good.
just learn to
Yeah. Yeah.
manage the fear so that you can be effective. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. No, I love that. Pivoting only out of necessity and not out of fear. That's a good people need little things to be able to, like, really help them move along. You know what I mean? Like, what am I looking for in this moment? Is this necessary or are you just scared?
Mhm. Mhm.
2 different
Mhm.
things. 2
Yep.
different things. So,
Yep.
yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Okay, so here's my last question. I ask everybody this as we close out the podcast. Um, all the advice that you have received in your life, what is the one piece of advice that you would say was the most life-changing piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Wow, that is a hard one.
I know. Listen, you know what? Also, I asked this question because now I get all the wisdom that everybody else has gotten throughout their life. Now I get it.
The best piece of advice.
Yes. The most life-changing.
You know what? This is gonna seem like a cop
What?
out, but I really don't have a favorite anything. Like, not a favorite movie, not a favorite
Okay.
song. I never
This is sounding like a cop out. This is sounding like a cop out.
Ooh, life-changing piece of advice.
Yes. It was the one somebody told you this thing, it made you see yourself differently, it made you see what was possible differently, it made you make a decision in a different way than what you originally intended to, made you see people differently.
No, it's not
No?
anything that anyone said to me. To tell you the
Okay.
truth, there's not one. Oh, wait. I do.
Okay, see, okay,
Because it
okay,
was a pivotal moment in my life. So,
okay.
I had the first time I sat for the bar exam, I sat for Delaware
Mhm.
and New Jersey. I passed New Jersey and I failed Delaware, and I was like, "Oh my
Delaware's
gosh,
hard.
what am I gonna" like, it was just such a hit because you spend months
Yeah,
studying for the bar, you quit your job, you put everything on the line, and you just study for 12
right,
hours a
right.
day, and I was devastated, and then I met someone who is now one of my very good friends, but at the time, I didn't know her. I actually one of
Yeah.
my friends at the time, she said, "Oh, I'm going to lunch with my mentor. Why don't you come along with me?" And we got to lunch, and she just went on this rant about how the bar exam does not define who you are. How throughout your life, you've
Mm,
been through so many challenges and so many experiences, and you draw on that to give you the strength to get up and do it again. And I was like, "You
that's
know
good.
what? She's right." Like, I've dealt with bigger
She
failures than this, and guess what?
right.
This is just a bump in the road, right? And I think we always have
Yeah.
to Um, that always has to be top of mind. That's why, Blake, his
Right.
hoodies that say "Failure is dope," I bet you a lot of people
Yeah.
don't get that. For me, it really
Right.
means something, right? Because those that punch in the gut for I needed it for a reason, right? It made me more
Right.
resilient, and it made me buckle
Mhm.
down and study my butt off and go in there and kill that bar exam the second time, and then my career is just what
Okay.
it was after that. Look.
And look at this.
Oh, yes, that's it. That's
Okay. Okay. See, I knew there was something that was in there. It was I love that. I love that piece of advice, and I will keep that with me as well. I think that that's really important. You're right. People are so afraid of failure, but failure can be
Mhm.
such a gift in so many ways. And in fact, when you look back in history, when you look at inventions, when you look at medication, when you look at all kinds of things, a lot of stuff was discovered out of failure. I was reaching for this, failed that,
Yep,
but got this instead.
yep. Just
Even
part of your
better.
process, part of your
Even better.
story. That's it.
Right. Well, I love it. Thank you so much for
This is
this conversation. You have been an absolute joy. I knew your spirit was gonna shine through, and you have been a blessing not only to labor, but to me. And so I just appreciate it, and I appreciate your friendship so much. I don't know if you know this or not, I'm moving to
don't tell
Texas.
me this on the webcam because I can't
Oh,
fuss. Mhm. I'll text you later. That's
text me later. We'll
okay, I'm
talk about
happy
it
for you,
later.
but selfishly sad, but
Yeah. Yeah, no, but this is a
okay.
really good thing. So, but we're definitely gonna have to get together before
Please.
then, and I'm taking everybody with me from Delaware to Texas. So, you're just expanding your
Alright, I'll
reach.
take
That's
that.
all it
I'll
is.
take that. I'll take that. But, yes, I'm very excited for you, and I can't wait to hear the details, so we'll get together.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Well, you have a wonderful evening, you all. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that, again, that you were blessed by this conversation and that you got something out of this about leadership. This is an incredible woman doing incredible things. And just even a part of her story, I think, should be that knowing that things are always possible, right? Even things that you don't see coming are on their way, and that's exciting. So be ready to embrace it. Thank you, and we'll see you later. All right, bye.